Hey Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today, at long last, we are looking at Cheetara from Super 7's ThunderCats Ultimates, Series 2, I think? I can't actually even remember now. I just know that the first production sample that Super 7 got was not up to standards, and I know a lot of snide comments can be made. Well, there's a lot of stuff Super 7 puts out that's not up to standards. And I can't totally argue against that. Just depends on your standards. But apparently this one was, whatever that initial Cheetara they got was so bad, they were like, well, we can't even send this out and, like, you know, apologize or fix it or anything. It's just bad. It's just a not good figure. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to put my light. There we go. So here you go, ThunderCats. I thought it was going to be a while before I had another ThunderCats figure, but then she showed up in my pile of loot, and I was like, oh, that's right. We've got a Cheetara. A wild Cheetara appears. All right, let's see. I moved my light around to take some pictures, and now I can't remember exactly where it was to not provide a glare. I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to see what happens. All right, so we've got the beautiful slipcover style box. We're going to open that right up, and look at that. It's Cheetara, the lady of the ThunderCats, one of the most popular 80s characters, I would say, and a long time coming in action figure form for me anyway, because I've never owned a Cheetara figure. I've had, you know, ThunderCats kind of on and off through the years, but happy to have this one now. Cheetara, the brave and noble Cheetara, is the fastest of the ThunderCats and possesses the ability to run with lightning fast speed. Though she is often the voice of reason, Cheetara is also an agile fighter. Her speed is particularly formidable when combined with offensive attacks from her bow staff. Furthermore, Cheetara possesses a sixth sense, a mystical psychic ability which enables her to sense evil and have visions of the past and future. Very exciting, although I think it's odd that with the though she is often the voice of reason, Cheetara is also an agile fighter. So agile fighters can't be the voice of reason? Come on, what kind of message is that? Cool art on the back, looks really good. Let's get this figure open. We've been waiting a very long time now, and I think no more preamble, no more explanation, no more waiting or hesitation. Let's let this cat out of the bag, or box, as it were. All right. What have we got here? Oh, we've got more pieces of tape here. It's almost like I haven't opened a Super 7 figure in a while. Ooh, wow, interesting. Lots of hands, trademark of Super 7. I'm going to try to keep them from shooting across the room. I still have not found the sort of omens that came with Groon, maybe? I'm not positive. Gosh, this is great. There's no way in heck this is going to work, but it's great. It's so heavy. We'll get. You're wondering right now, you're like, what the heck even is this? Dave, come on. Clue us in. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's get these hands out of the way. We've got one twist tie holding her in place. And you'll notice the twist tie has a little protective piece of plastic on it to keep it from cutting into the figure. Very important detail, in my opinion. Man. Two different, or I guess three different two alternate portraits, we'll say. The colors are vibrant and wonderful. Like right off the bat, that's my first takeaway here is that. Bow staff is straight-ish, but no, that's pretty good. I'll heat it up and straighten it out a little bit more, but it's not bad. All right, now I will tell you guys right now, there are a couple of things in here that my brain is not capable of retaining every single piece of pop culture trivia that is out there, or even that it used to be. I used to be pretty good about, oh, well, this thing is called this from this episode of this show, and I just don't have the room for that anymore. Real life and the passage of time have affected my ability to retain information that is less than necessary. And ThunderCat, you know, as much as I love ThunderCats, and I really do think it's one of the greatest of the 80s cartoons, it's not... I'm trying to figure out if that's an actual... We'll look at that in a second. ThunderCats is not one of my top loves. I love the character designs. I love the animated show. But it's definitely not one that I ever memorized the lore or knew exactly, like, what everything was. I'm just a fan of the concept and the series and whatnot. Okay, so... figure... looks good. I don't know what the one... I want to say the problem with the one that they didn't end up approving was that the hips were like super wide, which, I mean, she's pretty hippie anyway, but that's the character, if I'm remembering right. I mean, she's a lady. She's a lady designed in the 80s, so to speak, and I feel like these proportions and her profile is accurate. Looks great. Look at the hair. The hair looks fantastic. The sculpt is really nice. I'm not a huge fan of this seam that we can see right here from the tooling. But other than that, that is, again, going back to the 80s, that is some 80s hair. She's got the ThunderCats symbol on the front of her costume. All of the correct paint and everything, looking even onto the hinge. You can see. I love that that's there. And I will love even more if it stays there over the years from doing this a whole bunch. Which, look, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't do a ton of taking my figures down and posing them. I do these reviews. I'll usually play with them for a week or two here on the workbench. And outside of that, they go up on the shelf and look cool. And then I cycle around the room and clean, you know, over the course of a year, and they'll get moved then. Not a big fan of this paint not matching, but I will say it's much more important to me that this is here, which, by the way, looks great and does not appear like it's going to come off. I love her bracelets here, look really nice. The way that they're a separate piece looks great. This hinge is the correct color, looks really good. They've done a nice job with the coloring and the proportions and everything. The sculpt, her armband here, which we'll get to this in a minute. I like this figure quite a bit. I think it's one of my favorites from the ThunderCats line so far. Look at the boot detail, like the boot tops. I call these pirate boots. I don't know, there's probably a proper name for the boots that have the top flip down like that, but I've just always thought of them as pirate boots. But the little, you know, slit on the side, the sculpt, you can actually see the detailing of the way that these, you know, are meant to look like a softer material. I'm very happy with this figure. I was, you know, a little trepidatious about how it was going to turn out. But I think it looks fantastic. It's going to look great on the shelf. Size-wise, this one is just under 6.5 inches tall. So it looks like it's going to scale properly. But you know what? You guys need the best. So hang on just a minute. I always do the hang on just a minute, and then, like, you can't even see the cut in the video. But whatever. Okay, so here's Lion-O. I had to run grab him. Let's stand him up upright and see what we're looking at. And look at that. Nice size difference between these two. They look great together. Really nicely done. Okay. So So, articulation-wise, if you guys aren't familiar with Super 7, and I don't always run through the articulation because, I don't know, I guess I have an assumption that there's at least a little bit of familiarity, but there's a swivel at the top of the elbow. No, these are not double-jointed elbows. For me personally, for my taste, that's my preference. I don't think double-jointed joints tend to look very good, and for me, what Super 7 does, it's more important to capture the aesthetic of the figure than it is to give it ultimate Spider-Man articulation. So for my purposes, I think, there we go. So you can see the hip joint there. You've got a hinge and then a swivel at the top of the thigh there. So, you know, if you want some motion, you can get some motion. But again, if this was a double jointed knee, I would not like this figure as much. Now, I'm not saying they couldn't have got a little more bend in here, but it's still overall pretty happy. I like it. Okay, so let's take a look at Cheetara's accessories. The first of which is the collapsed form of her bow staff. Just a simple gold cylinder. Looks good. And that fixes into her gauntlet here, which is where she stores it when it's not in use, which I didn't even think about or realize. Well, I mean, now that I've seen it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's how that works. But, you know, initially bringing her out of the box, I wasn't even thinking about that. Clips in there very nicely. It's secure. It's not going to just fall out. It's not even going to get knocked out. So that's awesome. That's a great feature. How cool does that look? I love it. And then we have her fully extended bow staff, which is the same color. It's a nice metallic color. Looks really good. And it's not like in danger of snapping rigid, but it is relatively rigid. It's not floppy. It's not like a floppy soft plastic. So this is well done. I like it. Got a selection of additional hands going on here. You've got a couple of C-grips for dealing with that bow staff. And if you can see the paint detail on those hands, I didn't point it out on the figure, but there's actually painted detail on the back of her hands. I believe you can see it in the video there. You can see right there. Just a really nice touch. So, a couple of C-grips. We'll set those aside for right now. Some sort of graspy type hands. I like these. These are cool. And then running, well, I guess more relaxed or running hands. Either way. So, portrait-wise, we have got... So what's our difference here? We've got this, which is a sort of static standing there portrait and hairstyle. This, which is a running hairstyle. You know, maybe a little more facial expression would have been nice on this one. I love that they gave her with the hair flowing back like she's running, and I might try and set up some kind of running scenario on the shelf. But make that face look like she's running. Like, who runs and just has a completely neutral expression on their face? I know when I run, I look like an insane person. Cheetara is probably a little bit cooler than me, but not this dispassionate. I would have liked a little different face on that running portrait. And then we've got a... Oh, what is she being mind controlled? Is she being summoned by the Sword of Thundera, or the Eye of Thundera? Sword of Omen's Eye of Thundera. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. But it is... I'm going to have to say... This face works as just kind of a static, not much expression going on. This one, we really could have used a different portrait. That's kind of disappointing. A gritted teeth something. We have got this flame effect, because if you remember, Cheetara's bow staff is a flamethrower. Now, this is not going to work at all. Well, I guess if you want to pose her with that, let's get these C-grips on her and we'll see just how feasible this is. You're going to have to just put one of her hands like right behind where that flame is, which honestly is probably how she holds it in the cartoon anyway. I am going to pop this back out of there so I don't send it flying across the room inadvertently while I'm trying to do this. You know, it would have even been cool for her to have, I think this thing is way too heavy for her to stay on the shelf posed with it. I don't think there's any way this is feasible. So she's yeah, this is, they really should have made, that flame of a lighter material, because there's just, I'm not going to sit here for 20 minutes trying to get her to stand. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that, I can't stand that hand right on that flame like that. So let's just move it out a little bit. So I dig that. And that might even be a pose I would put on the shelf. But this thing is heavy. Like, it weighs almost more than the figure. It's kind of crazy. I really wish they had done this out of a different material, or maybe made it hollow, or done something to make it lighter. All right, what else have we got here? We have got a sort of pocket watch looking device. Feel free to let me know exactly what this thing is. It looks great. It's cool. I like it. I'm glad they come with these little bits of the world that they inhabit. But I cannot remember off the top of my head what this thing is. My guess is it either hypnotizes or transforms or freezes, right? And then this is the open version of that doodad, which is, this isn't hinged or anything. This is just a completely different sculpted piece. And you can see a really nice detail on the inside. You've got this red gem or whatever it's supposed to be. And then all the little green gems around the side. Very well done. Great. Whatever the heck it is, they did a nice job with it. And then you have a double forked flute. Looks nice. Maybe this is what's going to go on the shelf. Her just playing away on the double flute. And then finally, and this is pretty neat, we've got a mirror with the ThunderCats logo on the back, and then on the front, let's see. Hey, what's going on? It's a little reflective sticker that you can kind of see my face in. Wonderful. So it's, you know, it's not an actual mirror, but looks good. Nice for a toy. I'm good with it. This is, you can see it's a little bit warped here. So again, I'll heat, well, I may not heat this up because I'm afraid that sticker might come off. But it looks great. Really nice job on that. Tell me in the comments, what the heck is this mirror called? Is it just Cheetara's mirror? She just came with a mirror for no reason? I don't believe that. This must be a plot device. So that is everything with Super 7's new Ultimate Cheetara action figure. I think they did a really nice job with her. The only gripe I've got is that running portrait could be a lot more exciting. And I love the way that they did the hair, but that face, there should be something more going on there. So anyway, there is Cheetara, looking pretty killer, just like I remember from the 80s. Thrilled to finally have this figure and complete my original ThunderCats team. She's going to stay here on the workbench for a while. She'll go on the shelf in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things, and always come back for more toy reviews. ThunderCats, Who?
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.